Thank you. Mr. Robert Keeble, place 3.
Thanks. This is an area where I probably couldn't disagree with Mr. Gross any more than is humanly possible. I think it's a shame that we lost the former Texas Rangers Foundation. An awful lot of people in this community contributed to that project, donated to it, gave their time and effort. And I went and visited with Joe Davis a few weeks before, if you want to call it, the announcement was made of the removal of a sign. And Joe told me that our current council appeared disinterested in the project, and I think that's true. I've never seen a worse example of blame shifting and excuse making than occurred after the Ranger Foundation decided to move to Fredericksburg. City Bird had estimated that foundation would provide $15 million in revenue for Kerrville over a 3-year period, and I trust her numbers. I think she's right about that, and they managed to raise $5.4 million. So this business about, well, we couldn't afford to have them is just a convenient excuse, when the truth is that we needed them, and it's a crying shame that we lost them, and most of Kerrville feels that way. When we went to the council meeting after the announcement was made that they were leaving, City Manager Todd Parton fell on his sword, and he said, well, it's my fault, and I'll quote a little bit. He said, the incentive application for the project did not meet the minimum criteria as set forth in the Economic Development Strategic Plan. Well, I doubt that Fredericksburg has such a restrictive plan. This Ranger Foundation scored 0 out of 30 points on our plan, and we needed an active, engaged council that got involved at this time, went and talked with Joe, and kept the people informed and tried to work with him. And I promise you, if I'm on this city council, we will not have that happen, because I will be involved and I will keep the public informed about what's going on. With regard to Jim's question about the Museum of Western Art, I think it's imperative that we support it. We can't afford to lose them the way we did the Ranger Foundation.
Time's up. And Scott Gross has asked for a rebuttal, is that right? Okay. 1 minute, please.
Only take 30 seconds. You're right. We raised a lot of money. They raised a lot of money here in Kerrville. Some $5 million, I understand. But it's not there. It's not there now. And if we had gone ahead on that sucker, sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but if we had gone ahead on that project, we would be paying for it for a very long time and probably never gotten anything.
All right, thank you. 1 minute, please.
Well, I don't agree with that statement either, and I do think we could have at least run them some water and wastewater services, or provided some kind of incentive for them. It wouldn't have been very far to take it down 173, just a little bit farther from the Rio, and I think it's very short-sighted to say that they weren't going to generate funds for our community. They would have been a valuable resource in our community. And I'd like to ask this question: why is Fredericksburg considered so much more progressive than us, and they were interested in the Rangers? Why were they wanting to have them there so much and we weren't? I think it's a legitimate question, and I think it needs to be asked. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any questions out of the audience at this time? Over here in the middle? Oh, we're going to have a lady right here, I'm sorry.
My question has to do with water conservation and water harvesting. I'd like to know what the council's position is on taking a stance within the city. I've just recently moved here from Tucson, Arizona, and their city council was one of the first in the nation to adopt a water harvesting ordinance. And I was actually quite surprised when I moved here and found that the water situation was very similar to what it is in the Sonoran Desert. And I really would like to know what a priority that is for our city council.
All right, Mr. Keeble, I'm going to start with you again. Place 3, candidate.
Thanks very much. I believe very strongly in rainwater catchment systems. The neighbor just south of us on our property has a rainwater catchment system, and it's been very effective. I know that many folks in Tucson have these systems because my relatives live there. I believe that we need to try to provide whatever incentives we can. The recent drought, I think, taught us just how difficult our situation is here with water. And I particularly am concerned about our CCN application, the Certificate of Convenience and Necessity. I don't feel that we need to be taking in more water rights of private property owners around Kerrville. We barely had enough water to be able to provide for people when we were in our drought. And this idea of taking in more really concerns me. So.
All right. right, thank you. Scott Gross, place 3 candidate.
As far as the CCN issue is, I think Mr. Keeble just doesn't understand it. But that's okay, most people didn't understand it. All it really allowed us to do was to make sure that people who built subdivisions had adequate fire protection. It just made sense. Why they didn't come and ask us to do it is beyond me, but that's the case, and we didn't do a good job of marketing it. You'd probably be interested to know that 20% of the water that leaves our water plant never gets billed. And you might have noticed that there have been 7,500, we're in the process of installing 7,500 remote read water meters. We're going to find out where the water is going. Now, interestingly enough, when we had the drought, we actually have enough water most of the time to add about 3,000 more connects to our system. That's a lot of water. Part of the issue was a poorly written ordinance, which we have since fixed. And interestingly enough, for wastewater, on a dry day like today, we have enough treatment facilities to treat 3,000 more houses. On a wet day, we have enough treatment facilities to treat 0 more houses. Now, how is that possible? Because of infiltration and incursion. So we have a comprehensive plan, a multi-year plan, a multi-million-dollar plan, and we're all going to pay for it plan, I can tell you that. But it's a plan to solve that problem so that you don't get fluffy floaties when Lois Street floods. So the council is on it. We've got a project, a program in place, and you'll see improvement right away.
Thank you very much. Robert Petty, place 4 candidate.
Yeah, I'm well aware of how Tucson has reacted to their water shortage. I've got many family members who live there, and I've lived there many years myself. What we require, and I guess let me back up for just a second. Our drought last year really woke us up as citizens. There were some serious issues that nobody liked. I know I didn't. None of my friends, none of my neighbors liked exactly what was going on. And I think it took kind of a crisis like that to make us understand really how serious it was. We've got a lot of processes that we've talked about, and we've kind of taken some action. We're leaning forward a little bit on it, but I think the citizens of Kerrville are the ones that are going to push us forward as city government to make something happen, whatever that is. It's the citizens of Kerrville that really need to get involved in it. If it's a new project that we want to take on, then that's something that we need to take on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gene Allen, place 4.
I'm going to answer your question first and then explain some of my thoughts. I think that as a council, you have to be open-minded at any and all projects that come before you, especially if it's in the interest of saving water and preserving our water supplies for the future. Coming from West Texas, I'm well aware of water shortages. We had far more sandstorms than we had rainstorms, and that's not a good thing. So in turn, we have to utilize every avenue possible to utilize our resources that we have and explore for future resources that we need. And if that includes harvesting, absolutely. The last thing I want to do is get into a position that we were in last summer and worry about whether we're going to have water to take a shower or not. Folks, we were getting close to being to the point of worrying about that. Fortunately, the City Council has taken steps to conserve water in different areas, including landscape watering and so forth. They've implemented a new plan. We need to expound on that. We need to take take every measure we can to ensure that we do all we can to conserve. It's also going to take, as Mr. Petty said, it's also going to take the citizens. We have to be willing to step forward as citizens. The council has to take the lead, but the citizens have to take some responsibility and conserve in every way possible.